What was widely regarded as the safest self-custody device out there just got hacked. And guys, this is sending shockwaves through the cryptocurrency industry. In this video, I want to break down exactly what is happening, the big flaw most people in crypto don't understand, as well as, guys, talk about how you can actually keep your crypto safe. Guys, this is completely flipping what OGs thought was the safest way of custody completely on its head. In this video, we're going to break down the entire thing. Like always, you're supporting me so much to this channel. Thank you to everyone who likes and subscribes. And with that said, let's jump right into it. And I hope you guys enjoy the content. So guys, I want to start off this video and just say, the device that is currently getting hacked or has an exploit is called a cold card. And this device is actually specifically only a Bitcoin wallet. What's so interesting about this is the company Cold Card for a very long time has been known as the gold standard of Bitcoin custody. Essentially, cold cards only custody Bitcoin because their rationale is that when you have to protect all these different private keys and have all these different ways of securing private keys for all these different blockchains, it just makes things too complex. And therefore, Cold Card, who was really seen as the gold standard for all Bitcoin custody, was making sacrifices to their own profits to maintain their persona and their perspective as the best cold storage device out there. Now, these things had anything you could ever want as a cold storage device. It was air-gapped, that didn't connect to Bluetooth. It had all these different ways of randomly generating entropy for the seed phrase. It was really everything the biggest and most advanced of Bitcoiners wanted in their cold storage device. Well, guys, over the past week, we have seen a massive exploit of the cold card, draining millions upon millions of dollars of Bitcoin. And guys, this, in my opinion, is putting a bullet hole in the Bitcoin thesis for one key reason. For the longest time, the Bitcoin vision was that everyone would do self-custody, everyone would have their own cold storage device, and we'd all be our own sovereign bank. But there's one huge problem with that. The truth is no matter how advanced people have tried to make cold storage devices, there is always one huge flaw. The cryptocurrency industry pushes cold storage devices and wallets as a way to be completely sovereign and completely independent of any company and have full control of your crypto. But guys, the truth is it's not really the case, because these cold storage devices are not being created by the person who's custodying their crypto. They're still being created by a company, and companies make mistakes at the end of the day. Companies have profit margins, and they sometimes have to cut corners to meet those profit margins. The truth is the entire cold storage and self-custody narrative has essentially revolved around one big lie. And that is that your entire net worth or your entire stack of crypto is completely independent of any company, corporation, or government. And the truth is it's just not that simple. The facts are that these devices are created by companies who oftentimes, just to be frank, are looking to do the best possible thing for their own reputation and protect people's crypto. But guys, when you're dealing with a mass consumer device, something that normally falls in the price tag of between $50 and $200, it's just hard to get the same level of quality that you can from a $100 million custody device. That's why the largest financial institutions out there are choosing institutional custodians rather than self-custody. The truth is the biggest holders of crypto are not willing to put their entire stack on a $45 retail device. It's just not safe enough. It doesn't have the protections. It doesn't have the liability recourse. It doesn't have the insurance to actually make it an institutional product. And I think this is actually a big hit for the ethos of Bitcoin, and not so much for the ethos of XRP, because Bitcoiners always said that the big banks, the big financial institutions were going to fall, you were going to be your own bank, and you were going to be completely independent because of these $45 devices that completely replace your banking institution. Because the truth is these devices have not been able to do that. There is no sacrifice that can be made between convenience and security. And the truth is the vast majority of these things, as we're seeing, actually lead people to far more vulnerabilities. People lose them, they get burned, your house floods. There's hacks, the software has a glitch in it, there's a bug in the code, they're connected to Bluetooth and someone can hack over that. And sometimes you just get a device that comes compromised. These are things that are destroying the idea of a Bitcoin maximalist world. And this idea that cryptocurrency is the front end application. Now, guys, Ripple has always looked at things differently because Ripple never thought that companies were going to be essentially custodying their own crypto. That's why Ripple bought one of the leading institutional custodians out there, Mickle, a long time ago. Ripple understood that most companies are not going to fall in this Bitcoin maxi view of the world and want to take the liability of custodying all of this money on what really is just a cheap retail access point. The truth is the vast majority of these hardware wallets are really made for small amounts of money. Because who would really keep hundreds of millions of dollars on a $35 device? Guys, what we're seeing is even the Bitcoin treasury companies themselves are calling out that you really need institutional custody when you're holding any large amount of money. Now, guys, in my opinion, it's not to say that cold storage is dead and self-custody is a thing of the past. But I think people really need to look themselves in the eyes and ask the question, is it really safer? Yes, there's the use case of saying, oh, well, if there's a tyrannical government and they get control of these companies that are holding the crypto, then they could force these companies to hand over people's crypto. Because that's starting to seem like a completely unrealistic dystopian future in comparison to a company like Ledger or a company like any of these other cold wallet manufacturers just accidentally making a mistake and it affecting a whole bunch of devices out there. These devices just don't have the price tag on them to have the level of security that you would get with a large institutional custodian. One with insurance, one with bankruptcy protection, one that has $100 million facility with key generation, multi-custodian hashes, and HSMs set all around the world. I mean, this is the complexity that these institutional custodians bring to the table. And they actually have insurance policies on the line to protect against the event that something could actually happen. They have a full team of experts that's constantly working to back these things up and secure it. And guys, to me, that was always the way the world was going to go. That was always the future we were going to see. Because the more money that you have on the line, the more value this asset class brings in, the higher quality custody solutions you're going to need. It's the same way with almost everything in life. As there's more value to protect, as there is more recourse needed, we look to elevate our protection. We look to elevate our experience to make it on par with the amount of value that we're looking to protect. That is how everyone handles every single financial matter. And it just seems that this has been something that the cryptocurrency has had a hard time coming to grasp with. People really wanted it to be the case that we were going to be our own banks, we weren't going to rely on financial institutions, and that all of these banks were going to go away, and all of these companies were going to disappear, and everyone was just going to be walking around with their $35 cold storage device. That was the Bitcoin maxi view of the world. But the truth is the Ripple view of the world is winning out. That a lot of these things are going to look very similar to the financial system today. That a lot of the financial institutions that adopt this technology are going to be acting and seen by the end retail consumer in a very similar light that they are right now. They're just going to be using new infrastructure that underpins it. That's why Ripple is working on things like clawbacks in their institutional custody instance. That's why Ripple is working to be able to pre-fund and pay for reserve and transaction fees for institutional clients' customers. What Ripple is embracing is a hybrid, realistic view of the world. A world where blockchain technology is the infrastructure that underpins the entire financial system, but not every single person in the financial system has to be some cryptocurrency or blockchain expert. Guys, hacks like this are extremely unfortunate. And I feel so bad for anyone impacted by this for one huge reason in particularly. And that's just because I think the entire narrative that the cryptocurrency industry has been pushing for such a long time has been wrong. These devices are not safer than the institutional custodians. These devices have serious flaws. And these devices, at the end of the day, require trust with the company that produces them. And that's why, despite getting so many offers on this channel, I have never pushed a cold storage device. I have never taken a partner who does cold storage devices. Because in my opinion, despite the fact that I think some of them are probably safe and will be good for the foreseeable future, I just can't stomach the idea that something could go wrong with them, that something could fail. Because to me, they've always just seemed like a huge point of vulnerability. Even if you think you're doing every single thing right, as we've seen with Cold Card, even the most reputable people can have problems, can make mistakes, and it's just such a massive infrastructure broken piece of the way the cryptocurrency industry works today. So guys, the truth is I think this is a massive shot in the foot to the Bitcoin maximalists who thought the world was going to go purely in the world of self-custody, that cold storage was going to kill all the large institutions, that we weren't going to need assisted crypto like Ripple has been bringing to the world. But guys, the truth is this is a perfect example of why we need these things, why we need more professional solutions, and why the vast majority of cryptocurrency companies, the vast majority of companies that want to get involved in crypto are going to need someone like Ripple to hold their hand. The truth is that the advent of the internet, the vast majority of companies who are not internet native but wanted to adopt the internet were not setting up their own servers. We're not setting up their own domains. They were simply working with a player like Amazon or Google to assist them in the institutional adoption of the internet. Guys, I think this is essentially the same exact thing playing out. And unfortunately, this is a very hard lesson that a lot of the narratives in the cryptocurrency industry about being your own bank really fall short of the reality. The truth is what Ripple is building has never been more valuable. Because the vast majority of corporates who see this are going to say, oh, well, we're not going to look to do this on our own anymore. We're going to look to bring in the help of professionals. And that's when, rather than you having, as a corporate, a $35 device that Joe Schmo has down the road securing, $300, now you have multi-million dollars being invested with insurance, with very large security teams constantly watching over their specific wallet that your company has set up, with the guarantee that you have recourse for if anything goes wrong. Guys, I believe this is a huge, and I mean huge, push in the direction of everything Ripple's been building, and likely a big, and I mean big, roadblock for the idea that financial institutions are going away. Everyone's just going to be cold storage and crypto on a $35 retail device, and down to the banking institutions, down with the financial institutions. We're throwing this massive overthrow of the entire system from the ground up. As nice and as utopian as that vision was, it was just never realistic. And unfortunately, in my opinion, the sad part is a lot of this stuff that's pushed, like those narratives I just talked about, end up hurting people when they fall for it and don't think of the realistic outcome. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for coming. Really, thank you for all the support you've given me over the years. It's stuff like this is not fun to make videos on. It's not always fun to talk about. Feel so bad for people impacted. But I just want to speak my mind on it and let you guys know the truth of the situation and why I think it's really important to even question some of what seems like the most obvious and the most basic foundations and narratives of the cryptocurrency industry. It always is so important to look back and say, okay, well, what's the truth about this? And guys, I think this is a great example of the crypto industry for a long time just not really getting this right and trying to look to the really, really good qualities of it and just say, oh, it's absolutely perfect. I think if a lot of people took a step back and actually thought about it, I think they would see that there's a reason why any large crypto player is working with institutional custodians. Maybe if you have a lot of crypto you want to protect as well, that's who you should be working with also. Thank you so much for coming. I hope you guys enjoyed this update. For now, Mickle out.